Okay, it's Sunday, and that means, against my better judgment, it's time to go on Reddit and see what questions we can dredge up. I didn't do it for a few weeks, and there's no good reason for that. I just keep forgetting what day it is, so... I'm an old man, alright? He said 26 years old. Fucking decrepit by internet terms, mind you, but... So, can Ice Cube onto a dead body to prevent the enemy Mercy from rezzing it? I was unaware of this. Cool. I don't know if that actually works. Get it? Cool, because it's May. Okay, so I picked up my friend's account. Ranked around 1500. Just sitting there, Is there anything in here? Really? But my real question for discussion. I used this as a defense in the very beginning. Widow is very viable in virtually any comp, and the Far and Sim were like, no, and sort of laughed. What do you guys think? I mean, yeah, yeah, she is, with the exception of, like, some ludicrous situations, like, there's 4 healers and a tank, you better pick the Mercy and not, like, the Widowmaker, you know, but, yeah, Widow can be played in pretty much any team comp, yeah. How does scoped sends factor into DPI? I don't know. I do not know, to be perfectly honest with you. How can I manage over 3k damage per game with D.Va? That's really low. I see it as about... Yeah, like 3k damage is really fucking low. Holy shit. And it feels like yeah. Also, when striving to do max damage, I feel like I'm always attacking using my E, but not doing anything. Sometimes I can rush in, I can do a ton of damage, but then I don't have a great escape. Well, that's stage 2, is that you've got to know how you're going to get out, yeah. I mean, that's just extremely low. Like, I can only assume that it's just, like, a lot of sitting around and not, like, actively trying to kill people, right? Because also, I'm doing pretty well with blocking damage. I assume it's just, like, sitting around not really trying to kill people, but like, holy shit. Not being able to do over 3k is actually mind-boggling for someone like D.Va. Must just be not trying to kill people. Can I actually get better at Overwatch if I can only devote less than 10 hours a week to Overwatch? Yeah, absolutely. You'll probably get better slower than if you could commit more hours than that, but yeah, as long as you're trying to improve when you do play, you will improve. Is there actually anyone have any ways to improve aim? Play a fucking lot of the video game. There's no shortcut to it. As much as everyone wants a shortcut to it, the way you get better at aim is just by playing the game a lot, unfortunately. Well, playing heroes that, I have an aim requirement as well, is, all these, like, aim practices and drills and everything, they don't make you that much better, because just practicing against, like, the bots all the time is not helpful, It's like if you're playing a fighting game and you sit in the training room doing the one combo that'll 100% kill somebody 1,000 times. Like, you might be able to perform that combo in the training room with absolute 100% accuracy, but then actually doing it in a proper match is a completely different skill. It's the same with aiming. Shooting at bots is not the same as shooting at people, so if anyone tells you they have a way to cheat it, they're lying, You just have to play the game a lot. Tracer and Genji are still the best DPS. I'd say Genji is probably still the best DPS. Genji's always been really good. It's very hard for Genji to be bad because Dragon Blade is so good, and Genji himself is still just really good. Tracer's really good, but, like, Bridget makes it really difficult to actually play Tracer, because you have to play around the Bridget so much, and she makes it so hard to kill people. Because Tracer kind of just, like, bursts people to death. If the Bridget's paying attention, that's really hard to do. Genji still being predominantly based around Dragon Blade. Unless the Bridget stuns the Genji, she can't stop the Dragon Blade, really. And then that's mostly up to the Genji to dodge the stun. So, Genji's still really good, yeah. How much does ping matter for hit scan? less than you'd think. As long as it's below, like, 100, you'll probably never notice. How does the game deal with different pings, and how much does your ping affect your ability to play, like Widow? Are there any GM-level players with high pings? Probably. You probably won't find many that have more than, like, 100-ish ping on average, though. Like, you'd probably start to notice a difference after that point, but, like, it doesn't matter as much as you'd think it was. What's a good support hero? What a vague question. I feel like I'm just a hit scan main, so I'd like to expand my roster a bit to help my team, as well as some ticks, and I've started playing as Ana and Zenyatta since they seem the most DPS supports, who can heal without playing Bridget. Yeah, I mean, if you play hit scan, they're the ones... Oh god, I've clicked on something. If you play hit scan, they're the ones that make the most sense to play, seeing as they're the most hit scan-esque. Moira is just generically really good, as is Mercy. Ana's better now. And Zenyatta, really important, as it turns out. It's like, you know, it's a very vague question, though. I recently started an educational Widowmaker series that breaks down the thought process and decision-making that comes with Widowmaker. Let's check out the... no, don't play the video. Let's just look at who it is. The Salve Cartel. Widowmaker play-by-play. If you want to play Widow, go check that out. It's highly upvoted, so it's probably pretty good. So, Zenyatta aim settings on console, I don't know. For getting Reaper's pixel spray, what's that even attached to? What? Hold on. Come over here. Overwatch, Reaper, achievements, because I don't know what the pixel spray is attached to. That is for fucking Farah. I was like, it was such concussive blast. I'm like, I didn't realize the Reaper had that. Where the fuck? Achievements. Here we go. General offense. Reaper's pixel spray is... Get 3 solo kills with a single clip of Reaper shotguns in quick or competitive play. Sneak up on the back line. And aim really carefully. It's one of those things that... Or spin on them. I think spinning on them might still qualify for it. Seeing as that's with a single clip, technically. I'm not sure. I got the achievement so fucking long ago. Because I fucking love Reaper. Sneak up on the backline. Then just, like, walk through the backline. And aim real well. Too slow or too high sensitivity. So many questions on this damn subreddit revolve around sensitivity. Pros use it on average. Their sens is nearly double what I'm using. The average for pro. Like, fucking, who gives a shit? Am I playing on too low of a sensitivity? I've had no problems reaching masters. Like, no! Fuck, oh my god. Does it feel wrong? If so, change it. If it doesn't feel wrong, it's probably okay. How does Seismic slam like Brandito? I'm not going to go that into it. I don't know enough about Doomfist to really say. I've been filling nearly every game now, and I've altogether just gone to maining Mercy again. That's how I started maining Reinhardt. Because in my experience, people will pick a healer before they pick Reinhardt. Or just, like, a tank in general, you know? They might pick Roadhog Zarya, but neither of those are actually a tank, so that's how that happened. But in games, no one seems to want to cooperate. Everyone just wants to DPS. Yes. I'm not sure what to do. Well, yep. Then they say, let's see how, And, does now, yep. You know. Isn't 100% necessary. This is more of a team. Like, people in this game are selfish assholes. Wait for the role select to come in. Question about Orisa and Rein. Is Orisa considered to be in a good spot? She has so much worse mobility, shield health, shield mobility than Rein, and it shows in her pick rate. Last time I checked, Rein was the most and Orisa was the least picked tank in every rank. I don't think that's true anymore. Mostly because, like, if you go by what Reddit would tell you, Orissa's the best tank in the universe. But I still maintain that Reinhardt is a much better main tank than Orisa is, and I don't even think Orisa is a particularly good main tank. I think she barely qualifies as a main tank because it's so easy to roll over her. Yet I've seen more people concerned about Rein, complaining about Blizz treating Rein bad, Rein becoming unplayable. Yes, this is blatant lies, is the long and short of it, is, Reddit tells you a lot of lies, because most people on Reddit are pretty stupid, right? Because the majority of the Overwatch community is pretty stupid. I don't know if you've noticed, the Overwatch community is overwhelmingly terrible. Not you, you're fine. Everybody else, yes, that includes me. Reinhardt is still, like, the best tank, especially for the ladder. Because, like, Orisa, as a main tank, is very reliant on your team working together, and your team picking things that synergize well with Orisa, and then also working with the Orisa. Because if you're playing Orisa, and fucking Genji and Pharah are just off doing their own thing, and the other tank's D.Va, and she's fucking off doing her own thing, you're gonna get killed. Because then it's just like, Orisa's just sitting there basically by herself, right? And also, Orisa doesn't do well killing, like, divey heroes, because she has very limited ways to help them other than just, like, kill the person, right? She isn't great at peeling for other people. And people in the ladder are more likely to pick these kinds of aggressive heroes like Tracer, Genji, Doomfist, Reaper. Heroes that Orisa is not super good at dealing with, right? In higher SRs, and when I say higher SRs, I mean like Masters, Grandmasters. Orisa starts to become a better main tank because her teammates are more likely to work around her. Lower than that, your teammates are not likely to work around you, right? Debatably not even fucking Masters and Grandmasters, because every ELO's ELO hell. Reinhardt is just generically very good at punishing people. The greater mobility on his shield makes him better at covering for people doing stupid shit. Orisa just sort of sits in a location and then doesn't really like to move from that location except during predefined times. Reinhardt's a much more fluid hero than that. He's able to move around and do things, and he can just beat the fucking Genji to death, right? Genji comes in with Dragon Blade, Orisa can't do anything about that. Reinhardt can beat him to death. Things like that. Reinhardt also has one of the best ultimates in the game. It's very buggy, but it's one of the best ultimates in the game. It just kills teams by itself, right? And people don't like to play Reinhardt, so it's likely that the Reinhardt, if you play Reinhardt and you're decent at Reinhardt, it's likely the other Reinhardt got forced onto that role because nobody really likes to play Reinhardt, if they have a Reinhardt at all. So even if they don't have one, that just makes it so much easier to earth shatter them. And if the person got forced onto it, which is quite likely, you'll probably be better than that Reinhardt, which makes it easy to earth shatter and just kill people, right? Orisa requires a lot of teamwork. Reinhardt is a pretty independent hero, and Reinhardt is better at covering for other people as well, because of his greater flexibility in movement and kit. And Orisa's ultimate requires teammates. Reinhardt can just kill the enemy team by himself if he earth shatters them, right? Like, he can just kill multiple people on the enemy team by himself, and that's easy. So, when people talk about Orisa being better than Reinhardt, and Reinhardt being trash and unplayable, they're looking at it from a really skewed perspective, because people have this habit of just looking at the very high end of the spectrum. So, like, Overwatch League, top 500, Grandmasters, Masters, what have you. They have a habit of just looking up there, and then interpreting that as being reflective of the entire community. This is not true. Everywhere below, like, the top 5% of the player base, Reinhardt is going to generally be better than Orisa, like 90% of the time, because Reinhardt's just a much more, he shines a lot more in the chaotic nature of the ladder than Orisa does, because Orisa inherently requires some degree of teamwork, right? And you can say that about any hero, really, but Orisa is a lot more dependent than Reinhardt is. If Orisa doesn't have her team working with her to at least some degree, she's just going to get rolled over. Reinhardt has options, and he can cover for other people's mistakes more easily than Orisa. So I don't buy into any of this nonsense that people have been peddling about Reinhardt and Orisa for so long. I think that they've got it completely fucked up because they're just looking at the upper end of the spectrum. I think Reinhardt is blanketly better than Orisa, except in the top, 5% of the player base. He is definitely not unplayable. He still has, a 52% win ratio across all ranks, I believe. The last time I checked, it was that anyway. It might be different by now. That was of a month ago, so it can't have changed that drastically. Tips for competitive. I recently hit level 50, and I felt like it was time to try competitive. I have some questions. General knowledge that helps. Better to fill with someone I'm okay with, or is auto-lock as someone I'm confident with? How important is voice chat? Avoiding tilt. That's too vague to answer correctly. It is, if the team has something obvious, if the team doesn't have a healer or a tank, you should definitely filter that. But it's more important you're playing a hero that you're good at than that you're picking a hero that's best for the team composition. Because if the best hero for the team composition is fucking Orisa, right? Or a fucking diva, what have you, May. But if you've got no idea how to play that hero, you picking that hero isn't going to be helpful, because even if it's the best pick team composition wise, if you don't know how to play that hero, you aren't going to be able to fulfill that hero's role correctly and leverage what's good about them anyway, so it probably won't even be that good. It's more important you're picking somebody that's you're good at within sensible confines. If there's no healers, you have to pick a healer, right? There's that. But outside of those extreme circumstances, it's usually better to just pick someone that you're good at. How important is voice chat? Nowhere near as important as people will make you believe it is. Because, and this is a long one as well, here we go. So the problem with the voice chat, and this is why people got this fucked up as well, is that it's so hard to get the voice chat to be useful that it's almost always useless. Because if one thing has gone wrong with the voice chat, it all falls apart, right? Because here's the thing. For voice chat to be useless, right, we'll assume you're not toxic from this perspective, right? Because this person might be toxic. There are a lot of people who want you to be in the voice chat that are toxic, right? But here's the thing. We'll assume you're not toxic. The thing is, though, everybody else in the voice chat has to not be toxic as well. Because if one person out of the 6 people is toxic, that shuts down all communication immediately, because the toxic person dominates the space, right? They fucking absorb the whole voice chat. So everybody has to not be toxic out of 6 people. That's hard to do with the Overwatch community, especially as the match goes on. But the thing is as well, is that communication is actually a skill. And not many people that play Overwatch actually know how to communicate, right? They just blanketly say voice chat. But then the people who say that are almost always not good at communicating. Because 9 times out of 10, nothing of value comes out of team chat. At most, it's somebody says X is over there, but the majority of what you hear is just X is low. I have my ultimate. Do you have your ultimate? None of this requires the voice chat, right? None of this is actually very helpful information. Communication is actually a skill that very few people who play Overwatch actually possess outside of the very high ranks. Once you get to I was gonna say platinum, but not even really there. Once you get to diamond, you can more reliably expect people to kind of know how to communicate. But up until that point, no one really is that good at communication. Communication is actually a skill. And the thing is, you need several people in there to actually be good at communicating. Because if only one person is talking, it doesn't really help that much. They might call things out, but you kind of need more than just one person to actually be good at communication. So that's also hard, right? You need no one to be toxic, which is already a tall ask of the Overwatch community. And then you need several of these people. You need at least 2 or 3 people to be good at communication, right? Which is another tall ask, especially outside of the high ranks. Because most people just don't talk. The amount of times that they've gone voice chat, and then, like, every fucking time I've ever actually joined the voice chat, no one says anything. It's just an easy excuse people make, because, oh, we're losing. Well, why are we losing? It can't be me. I gotta find an excuse. 5 out of 6 people in voice chat, that's why we're fucking losing. Because that asshole's not in the voice chat. That is probably not the reason. If the reason that you are losing that game is because one person is not in voice chat, that's probably just because 5 people got tilted over one person not being in the voice chat. The voice chat doesn't matter as much as people say it does. Outside of, like, like a 5-man versus a 5-man or a 6-man versus a 6-man, that's when teamwork, that's when, like, communication becomes more important. But just like solo queue, duo queue, voice chat doesn't matter that much. Avoiding tilt? It's a very hard question to answer. Basically. Which damage hero should I learn / play? I've played Overwatch for a while, mainly on console. I've always played support or tank. I think it's time to learn a damage hero, but I don't know who to play. Based off the playstyle, well, Zarya, Moira, Zenyatta, Lucio. So, none of these are, like, super mechanically intense heroes to play. Zenyatta has an aim requirement, but that's kind of it. They're all pretty easy to play mechanically. So you probably don't want to jump into someone immediately like Genji or Widowmaker. Soldier is relatively Zenyatta-esque. A lot of the positioning carries over between the two of them. Someone like Mei, because Zarya, Moira, that's a lot of tracking, so heroes that are based off of tracking are also good to play. That also includes Soldier, to be fair, as well. So, like, Soldier, Mei, who else is a tracking DPS? Kind of Reaper. Sombra is a tracking hero, but she's very hard to play. Wouldn't recommend that one. Probably like Soldier or Mei, based off of those heroes. But the actual answer is just whoever you want to play. Doesn't matter that much. If you want to play him, just play him. Seems like I can't climb out of bronze. Let's see, and I have no idea what to play. I want to play. I'm forced to play support. At least pick Moira, because she has the most, like, the most agency over the game out of all of the support, out of, like, the main healers, because, yeah, you're probably never going to see a second support, so at least pick Moira, because she has, like, more agency than Mercy. If you're in bronze, don't pick Mercy. If you're in silver, don't pick Mercy. Pick Moira or Ana. Preferably Moira. I'm not that good at support either. I'd much rather play tank or deep. Yeah, Moira. But I try to be able to... Yeah, pick Moira if you have to pick a healer, is basically, like, the suggestion that I have based off of that alone. Another extensive analysis on character movement speed. Where does Reaper stand in this meta? I think he's pretty good. You have to watch out for Bridget, because Bridget can just kill you, basically. And there's not that much you can do about it. You killing Bridget is kind of dependent on the Bridget fucking up more than you playing particularly well as Reaper. But outside of that, I think Reaper's pretty good. If the enemy team is like double sniper, which it is somewhat often now, Reaper's less good against that kind of team comp, obviously, unless you're very sneaky. But I don't find there are that many games below, like, Platinum, where it's double sniper, because most people, like, well, even, like, in Platinum, this happens at all SRs, but, like, particularly below there, if people see Widowmaker, they're likely to go fucking change, right? And even if you pick Hanzo, they're still likely to do that, even though Hanzo is, like, the best hero in the game right now, right? So the double sniper thing tends to not be so much of an issue. Hanzo, you have a reasonable chance of fighting as Reaper, because Hanzo isn't actually a sniper. He's like a mid-range brawler more than anything else. So I think Reaper's actually pretty good right now. But I've also always liked Reaper. So even when Reaper was bad, I still played Reaper, because I like Reaper a lot. What is it about Moira that makes her feel less effective? Is it just me? This is a somewhat commonly cited issue. I think it's just because Moira doesn't... There's nothing overtly overpowered about her, right? Like, there's nothing about Moira that screams unfair, right? Like, when Genji comes in and kills your whole team with Dragon Blade, that feels unfair, right? Moira isn't that. She's a very honest hero in that she doesn't do one thing overwhelmingly, well. Like, Moira can put up really big numbers, but it's over a very long period of time that this happens. Moira doesn't have a big oomph impact, right? Like, Mercy using Valkyrie is a really big ultimate for her, right? Coalescence is nowhere near as good as Valkyrie. And it's nowhere near as good as, like, Transcendence. Both of these ultimates have, like, very big effects, and then Coalescence is meh. The thing that's unfair about Moira is just how quickly she can generate ult charge. The other problem is that people have taught people how to play Moira badly. I kicked the table, I'm sorry. People have taught Moira players to be bad because most Moira players at this point are petrified of doing damage, even though Moira is meant to be doing damage as actively as possible. It's just the thing that makes her feel less effective is just that she doesn't have, like, one big thing about her. The most unfair thing about Moira is that she has the highest potential healing output of any healer, because if you throw the healing orb and then use left click on, like, a group of people, that's actually an insane amount of healing. It is almost impossible to kill someone through it. With the exception of, like, you know, Graviton ultimates. Like, obviously she can't heal somebody through that. It's not Transcendence, but it's the highest healing output you can get in the game outside of Transcendence. So, like, that's the thing that's, like, the most unfair about her. But Moira is a hero that builds up considerable value over time, right? Her ultimate isn't as good as Transcendence, but Moira will get to use Transcendence, like, 7 more times in a game than Zenyatta will get to use Transcendence. And that's not even actually an exaggeration. Like, you'll get, if you're optimizing your play well, you will get to use Coalescence so many times during a game that's where you get, like, the value out of Moira. There's no big about it. Like, there's no, I killed everyone with Dragon Blade. There's no, I earth-shattered 4 people and then we won the team fight, right? There's nothing like that. It's just, like, over a period of time, you put up you have a good value over time. So I think that's what makes her feel less effective, is just that she's not so much on the instant gratification side, basically. I still think Moira's fantastic. I think also people are bad at Moira. So there's that. How can you tell when you're the problem? You know, it is somewhat of a difficult question to answer. If you, like, don't read any of the angsty stuff above and just... I mean... If you're worried that you're the problem, you probably don't actually have to worry about it that much, because the people who don't realize they are the problem, it never even occurs to them that they might be the problem. So I would say, if you're concerned about it at all, you are probably not the problem, because that already shows a degree of self-awareness, right? And the people who don't realize they are the problem completely lack that. So I would say if you're asking that question at all, you probably don't actually have to worry about it that much. How far out should I go to try and heal someone as Moira? Not that far. If somebody, yeah, no, do not fade to the low health person. This is a very common mistake. Because if you fade to the person who is low health, don't forget someone made them low health, right? Like, something happened to that person to put them in critical health. And you're going to use your escape to get closer to that situation. That's not recommended. If you feel like it's dangerous at all to go out to try and heal the person, just throw the healing orb instead. The healing orb will probably, like, if the person is savable, the healing orb will probably be good enough. And you don't have to expose yourself at all to use the healing orb to try and do that. Like, do not fade to the person who is at critical health, because something happened to them. And you're very easy to kill without fade. So, and you're probably fading closer to danger to heal that person. So, if it seems hazardous at all, just use the healing orb instead. It'll save them if they are savable. How do I deal with spawn campers? I mean, who do you play? I tried switching to a hard counter. Yeah. Bridget is honestly probably the best hero you can switch to in that situation, because Bridget's like the best duelist in the game, which is really fucked up when you think that she's a support, right? But it's just really easy for Bridget to kill somebody by herself, and the person has to play well to actually outplay the Bridget, which they are unlikely to do in that kind of SR range. So the best thing you could probably do is if you just like change to Bridget, and you will probably be able to kill whoever it is. Who's a spawn camper that Bridget wouldn't be able to kill? Pharah, obviously. But if Pharah is spawn camping you, something really fucked up is happening. There's nobody I can think of that would be feasibly spawn camping that Bridget can't kill. So that's probably the best thing you can do on average. We're not going to do the mouse sensitivity again. We've gone over that so many fucking times. Here for more help, not as desperate as last time. Oh, it's a VoD. Never mind. Not for now. Diamond Zarya, help. This season has been awesome for me. Play. Out of all of these heroes, I play Zarya. I charge grav at the rate of a tortoise, and I struggle to do the necessary damage to support my beam. I feel like my bubbles are well placed, but I am an inchy on the trigger finger for them. How do you effectively build grav on a losing team? Is there a way to squeeze out damage that I'm just not tapping into, or do I just need better tracking at this rank to climb with Zarya? I mean, probably an element is tracking, yes. I find the most common reason people can't build up Graviton is just because they aren't using their bubbles correctly, and that results in them not generating enough charge to consistently do damage, because if Zarya is balanced around the fact that she has charge, right? So Zarya with no charge is basically completely worthless, because she's balanced with the assumption that you're going to generate charge. So if you can't consistently stay at a reasonable amount of charge, you will not build your ultimate very quickly. That tends to be the issue for most people. Now, how to build grav on a losing team? You probably won't. Basically, like, if you're losing, especially if you're losing really badly, you are just going to build way less gravitons. It's going to take you a long time to build up that one graviton, so that one graviton that you get has to be really good, is basically the answer, because if you're losing, it's going to be extremely hard for you to actually build up ult charge, because graviton already charges extremely slowly if you aren't generating enough charge, and if you're losing, you're on average not going to be able to generate as much charge, because if you're always high charge, you are probably winning. So the answer is, it's just going to build slowly. You're only going to get one or two if you're losing the entire time. So the one or two that you get have to be really good. You can't fuck up the ones that you're gonna get, because you're only gonna get one or two. They have to count if you're on the losing team. But the answer is probably bubble use. I feel like my bubbles are well placed, but I'm itchy on the trigger finger, which says to me, if you're not building ult charge and you admit to being itchy on the trigger finger, it's probably an issue of using bubbles and generating charge. Part of it is probably tracking as well, but the more common issue is almost always generating charge. A decent crosshair for the new Hanzo. Most people say the default crosshair is the best one for Hanzo. I wouldn't know. Controls are reverting back to the alt key bindings, but in settings they are not. That's fucked up. How do you keep a positive mental attitude? It's really fucking hard, especially when this community does its best to beat it out of you. If you start getting upset, just stop playing for a while is the best advice, probably. Aiming tip for console players, I wouldn't know. Are there any comp statistics for win rate by composition? That would be sick, but I don't think so, unfortunately. Let's check the comments. That would actually be interesting. I doubt it. There's no... Yeah, that's unfortunate. That would be cool. one of the statistics I really wish Overwatch tracked, I don't know why this isn't one of the stats they track, because they actually track this stat in Heroes of the Storm, but they don't track it in Overwatch. I wish that it tracked win rate by map, because I would love to know what my win rate on Horizon is compared to my win rate on, like, Route 66, you know? Like, I would like to know which maps I personally am weaker at playing, because that's a stat that's actually, you have to track that stat yourself to actually know, right? And I'm too lazy. I think it's really fucked up that nothing actually tracks win rate by map, because I actually think that that's valuable information, and it's just, it doesn't track it anywhere. Nothing tracks win rate by map. But that's actually important information. Transcendence, how do? Zenyatta is very popular and understandably so. I feel okay, however, if one out of the one. Ooh, I can't get value from my Transcendence. I'm not sure when to commit and when to make myself. Yeah. I mean, the thing that's really strong about Transcendence is the fact that it completely nulls out some of the scariest ultimates in the game, and it's very easy to go like 2 for 1 on ultimates with Transcendence, right? Because a lot of aggressive ultimates are used in combination with each other, like Graviton, Dragon Strike, you know, Earth Shatter, Dragon Blade. You know, a lot of these ultimates are used together, so it's very easy to get 2 ultimates for 1 as Zenyatta. That's the thing that's strong about Zenyatta, is just that Transcendence completely negates some of the scariest ultimates in the game. So the thing you do with Zenyatta is you look at the enemy team composition and you think, what ultimates do I need to try and stop, right? Like, you look for Zarya, you look for Genji, you look for Soldier, you look for Reaper, you know, these kinds of people. And you basically try to save your ultimate for those heroes. If you're going to use Transcendence not to block one of their ultimates, you need a really good reason to do so. And when I say really good, I mean, like, if I don't ult right now, we're going to lose this objective, right? So I'm just gonna ult now and hope that's good enough. Sometimes you don't even want to do that, but like the reason to use it not to counter another ultimate is, if I don't use it right now, we're just going to get wiped regardless. So I'm going to use it and then hope that that's good enough. But you try to save it for the enemy ultimates as much as possible, because that's the thing that's strong about Transcendence, is it negates enemy ultimates. So which do you think would be better, Altfire or Sim 1? The 1-2 Altfire is like, Sim 1.2 and 2.0 Altfire is like objectively better. If you're talking about like from Symmetra's perspective, right? Like, that's the stronger ability. But I think that the 3.0 Altfire is way better for the game overall. It's one of those things like, Sim would love to keep that Altfire on the new kit, the original one on the new kit, but shit, that would be crazy. It's way better. It just, like, people just die to it, right? Like, she just kills people because they just walk into the balls and get killed, right? Like, she'd love to keep that. It's probably better. The 3.11 is probably better for dueling, to be fair. But, like, overall, the 1-2 is better from Symmetra's point of view. What are some basics I need to know of and master with Pharah, Zarya, and D.Va? Pharah is thinking, like, just one basic thing for each of them. Pharah is thinking about cover in the 3rd dimension, because it's extremely basic that you can't just float out in open space and expect to survive as Pharah. You have to actually play around cover in the air. So that's like the basic thing with Pharah, is you have to think about cover within the 3rd dimension. You can't just float out in open space or you'll get killed. Zarya, it's using your bubbles correctly. That's like the skill testing element of Zarya. If you can't bubble people correctly, you won't generate charge, which means you aren't building Graviton as quickly, and Zarya, she can't fulfill her role as a tank if she isn't a damage threat, because that's how she creates space for her team, is by being a threatening presence. She bullies people away. So if she is at low charge, she's no threat. You look at a 0 charge Zarya and you go, who gives a shit, right? So there's that. And that's for Zarya, bubble, getting charge out of your bubbles. Not even, like, using your bubbles to protect people. It's like you getting charge out of your bubbles is the basic element for Zarya. And then D.Va, it's knowing when to engage and pick a fight, because the thing that's good about D.Va is that she does this very high burst damage when she initially dives on someone. So the thing that's really key for D.Va is knowing when you have an opportunity to kill somebody and knowing when to dive on them, to go for that, because when she flies in at you, shooting, firing rockets, and then she, like, smashes you with her body physically, that does a lot of burst damage. So it's recognizing when somebody is out of position, or when you have an opportunity to kill someone is a better way to phrase that, because there are a lot of ways there are a lot of opportunities to kill someone that don't require them to be out of position. So it's recognizing when you can dive on someone and kill them as D.Va is the most basic aspect for her. Need positioning help from a high rank soldier main. I like to play soldier. Could a soldier main? Best make a post containing all the best spots for soldier on each map. Oh god, that's a long one. That's a long answer right there. That is probably something that's worth doing, actually. Keep an eye out for that video in the future. That's actually extremely worth doing. Is smurfing okay? Yeah. I don't think smurfing is an issue. It happens in all games. Now, if you're smurfing specifically just to be a cunt, right, then that's not okay. And if you are smurfing and like, it's okay to smurf, it's not okay to be a cunt, is the short answer, right? Like, there are people who smurf who just, like, do it to play with their friend. I play on smurf accounts to play with my friends, right? Like, because they're worse than me. Rude, but true. But, like, I don't go around, like, bragging that I'm a smurf to people, right? I'm not the guy on the team that as soon as we start losing, I go, well, I'm a smurf, so it's your fault, right? Like, those people are almost never smurfs, but you know, like, there are people who smurf who just kind of, like, get on with it, who just kind of do it for their own personal reasons, and they don't make a big thing about it, and then there are people who are smurf and then are cunts. It's okay to smurf, it's not okay to be a cunt, okay? So, yes, smurfing itself is fine. It's what you do while you're smurfing. How do you climb? By grinding games. Because that's how climbing works. But is there anything? Do I one-trick Zen? Do I flex? Do I get as good as I can with Widow and learn to carry? I am capable of getting good with any hero, in my opinion. That's true, yes. It's just a matter of time of, do I devote myself to one-tricking a hero I'm good at, or for the bigger picture, do I expand my hero pool? I am of the opinion that the best way you can climb is just by being really good at a few heroes, right? I'm really good at Reinhardt. I'm really good at Moira and Bridget. And then I can play all the other tanks, with the exception of Zarya, competently. I'm really bad at Zarya. She's the only one I can't play. But, like, I'm really good at Reinhardt, really good at Moira, really good at Bridget, and really good at Reaper. And these are the heroes that I'll try and pick if at all possible, basically. And then there are a bunch of other heroes I can play competently. Like, I can play Soldier, I can play McCree, right? So if they're like, I have to play those heroes, I can. But it took a long time to actually be good enough to play those heroes, right? So, like, I am of the opinion that really the best thing you can do is just pick, like, a couple of heroes in each category that you like, preferably, and get really good at them. Like, try to get really good at a DPS or two, a tank or two, and a healer or two, right? And then just, like, play those heroes. You definitely, like, you don't need a very big hero pool. You only need to be, like, really good at a couple of heroes. And that's good enough. Like, I would say that you will probably be fine being really good at 2 categories of heroes, right? Because I find that people are quite likely to pick a support and a DPS, right? Like, your opinion may vary on this, but I find that people are very unlikely to pick tanks. Particularly main tanks. Like, they might pick Zarya and Roadhog, but they're not actually tanks, you know? So I find that if I'm really good at Reinhardt, I can always pick that if I have to, right? Because if you're really good at, like, a DPS and a tank, or a DPS and a healer, or a tank and a healer, that will be enough in most situations, because it's very rare you have to actually fill into all 3 categories. It's because, you know, there's a lot of people who like to play DPS, so you almost never have to fill that category. So as long as you're really good at, like, a tank or a healer, that's probably enough most of the time, actually. And once the role select comes in, that even won't be so much of an issue. I think you're best off just, like, getting really good at a couple of heroes, and that's good enough. I don't think you need a particularly diverse hero pool. Do you hold down or tap shoot? I hold it down most of the time, but I do this with, like, all heroes, where if I'm, or, like, McCree as well, right? Like, slower shooting heroes. If I'm really focusing, if I really need to shoot the guy, I'll start tapping. But otherwise, I'm, like, holding it down, basically. But if I'm really need to shoot that man, I will tap instead and just, like, really focus on that for a second. And that is 2 pages and a 45-minute video. We did a good job, team. All right, so thank you very much for watching if you did. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. I'm more than happy to answer. If you haven't already, you can join our Discord and ask questions more directly and have a conversation about them, or just shitpost with us. And I hope you found the video helpful.